Welcome back, everybody. Live with Singular. And I think this is our last live stream leading up into the holiday break coming up. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm joined, as always, by my right hand rock star, Catherine. Travis behind the scenes, making
Hi.
everything look good. And hey, Catherine, how are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good.
How are you? It's snowing there in Colorado, we saw.
It is. It is snowing. It's winter. It's absolutely beautiful. And today we are going to mix. We're going to get rid of all the updates from Singular. We're going to go right into the meat of it and put two gentlemen on the spot with what I think is a pretty cool offering from Mavis. So I'm very excited to have Phil and Moe join us. I saw their stuff in the whole offering. There they are. Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi guys.
Ran into these guys at IBC and was like, wow, this is I think the coolest thing I saw at IBC, to be honest with you. But that's all my personal opinion. So without further ado, they are going to give us a deep dive demo of their offering and how Singular works with their offering, because they do support HTML graphics, which is awesome because that's why we can plug right in and look and make our stuff look great with their stuff. So without further ado, let's just cut to the chase. And I'm not sure if Phil or Moe, which one of you guys are gonna start off and share your screen and show us what you have.
Moe is going to start, actually.
I will do. Thank you very much for the kind words, and thank you to the entire Singular team, really, for their support and for inviting us to be a part of this webcast. We are really excited to showcase the Mavis platform. As you've already said, my name is Moe, and I'm joined by our co-founder and CTO, Phil. He'll do the deep dive into the platform. But before that, I wanted to just give a broad overview of the platform, because our vision at Mavis is to democratize live production workflows so that all content creators, be they a production company, a sports rights holder, an influencer, or a broadcaster, can produce high quality live and as live content so that it is really indistinguishable from what might come out the back end of an OB truck or a TV gallery. We've done this by doing three things. So the first is we have utilized the power of the cloud to virtualize as much of the elements that you would need to make a live production. So is that vision mixing, audio control, DVEs, talkback, and of course, graphics ingest. The second part is that we have developed a user interface which is very, very user-friendly and very intuitive, but also uses hardware and devices that you already know as content producers, your iPads, your MacBooks, your iPhones. And the third piece is we have removed complexity in workflows to create a true cloud-native technology that will enable remote production. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand over and Phil's going to take us through the demo. Phil.
Thank you very much. And if Travis could work his magic and give me the screen share, that would be lovely. Thank you very much, sir. So what we're looking at here is, bear in mind, actually, this is a screen share. So if you see any sort of frames dropping and stuff like that, it might just do that because, you know, we're on Zoom or whatever. But what we're looking at here is our interface. And the big window at the top there is showing us what's going out of there. The little windows are showing us the sources. And so what I can do is I can just cut around on the little windows and cut the sources to where. And that's the thing that I'm now mixing my program output into. And I can do things like, of course, add graphics to that, which I've now just brought in. And now Catherine can manipulate those graphics from where she's sitting. And they look awesome. And I really like this animation. Hey, look at that. I really love that little animation. We were just talking about that earlier. Really nice. And this, I think, shows the real power of cloud production, because I'm in the south coast of the UK. Catherine is thousands, literally thousands, possibly even millions of miles away across a whole ocean. And we're collaborating at the same time on the same show. This is, it's like, it's a miracle. And I look at this every time I see it, and it blows me away. But this is one of the main things that you can get with cloud production. But let's just have a look a little bit at what cloud production actually is. So as I said, I'm clicking around here. I can click on different sources. I could maybe take another camera and maybe then mix towards it. So I can do that and I can mix it, or I could maybe wipe into it. I'm going to do a graphic wipe there. We just happen to have programmed a Mavis wipe in. I can even use the little graphic wipe mix bar there, which is slightly more fun than it should be. But all of this is happening in the cloud. None of this is happening on my local machine. Let me just show you what that means. It means that when I cut, when I'm going to tap on this camera 2 here and bring up Maddie, I'm going to cut onto that. And in fact, actually, I ought to do it on program, really, shouldn't I? So I'm going to cut on that. And that sends a message to the cloud. The cloud then makes the cut and then sends the picture back. And it's so fast and so real time that it feels like it's running on my machine, but it's not. The way we do this is that we have a bespoke cloud native transmission protocol. It's a cloud native streaming technology which enables really, really low accuracy, really, really low latency, which gives us really high accuracy and really high responsiveness. Now, to prove that this isn't happening on my machine, Moe has got the same program running on his iPad connected to the same show. Now, if I cut around on my show, you can see that at the same time, completely in sync, or I think it is given the screen share, but completely in sync, Moe's show is cutting at the same as mine because we are both controlling the same show. And in fact, Moe can actually control my show as well. Look, we're cutting and I'm not using my hands. And this is another power of this remote.
Very cool.
Controlling the show, Moe's controlling the show, Catherine's controlling the show. We're all miles away from each other, yet we're able to contribute to the same show, all in sync, all in real time. And I think that's a really fascinating thing from cloud production. Now, let's just talk about some of these sources, actually, because you've been looking at sort of me cutting around some cameras. And to start with, the first 3 cameras here are actually demo cameras. You actually saw them fade out and fade back in again at the beginning as they looped around. This is just a little loop of video. Excuse me. And these are really useful, actually, because you can spin these up on what we call a demo show and have a go and practice using the back end without having a bunch of people sitting around there doing models for you. You can also have a go at cutting live. If you've never cut live cameras before, it's a really great time to have a go and sort of see when you would cut. Do you cut to the person talking? Or do you cut to the person who's listening? Oh, well, it's up to you. And that's your job as a director to decide that and make your show. And that's the kind of thing you can do with the demo cameras. And I encourage you to all have a go, actually. And you can do, because I'll show you at the end how to do a free trial. But let's talk about real cameras for a moment. And I've got a real camera here. You can see on that 4th box there, I'm just waving my hand in front of the real camera. And we've taken the sort of same approach that we've taken with the UI, whereby we've said, well, what's going on in the industry? What does the industry use? How can we make stuff look like it? How can we borrow the tools and techniques the industry uses, but then target it to the cloud? So we've done exactly the same with the cameras. And today I'm actually using my iPhone camera here, actually, that I'm just going to just pop there for a moment. And my iPhone camera is just a normal contributing camera into my system. And this is connected with, again, our cloud native technology, which means 2 or 3 things. Firstly, we can send a load of technical stuff to the cameras. We can send sync. So they've got a frame accurate sync by default. Unless you don't want them, then you can turn it off. But we also get some other guff, like it sort of sets it up and all that kind of stuff, which we won't talk about now. But we send creative tools. And the 2 creative tools I want to talk about today are specifically for live. Now, this is actually the Mavis Pro camera app. If I sort of turn it around here, I don't know whether you've come across this before, but Mavis Pro there we go. The Mavis Pro camera app has, oh, that's actually the wrong side. I'm in mirrored mode. Oh, where is it? It's got a load of, where's the button? I can't see it. There you go. It's got a load of creative tools to help you make programs when you're just recording it, but you can also use it to now ingest into a cloud workflow. So we use our cloud native thing on there, and it gives us the ability to add these additional tools. The first tool is if I push this button on the control surface, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you can hear all that horrendous feedback there, and that is because I opened to the camera. Now, normally you'd plug a set of headphones into the camera and listen to it, but it means as a director, I can shout at the platform and then the camera operator can hear, talk nicely at the platform and the camera operator can hear me. So I can say, please pan to the left. and camera 3 hopefully will do that. So I'm now directing my show. If I can't talk to the cameras, as a director, I'm sitting there going, why are the cameras not doing the right thing? Because what will happen is something interesting will happen somewhere, and then all the cameras will zoom into it, which is great, but then you don't get any wide shots or any reaction shots or anything like that. So you need to be able to direct your cameras when you're doing a live show. The next thing that happens with the camera is when I cut to it, the tally light comes on. And this is actually really, really important. If I cut away to it and cut to it, you can see that tally light coming on. And also, if I turn it around there, you can also just about, probably, if I get in the right place, you can see the red lines coming on the side of the camera there as well. So both the talent, I'm just going to put that over here, both the talent and who are facing the camera can see which camera's on air, so you know which camera to talk to, when to start talking, that kind of thing. And the camera operator can also see which camera's on air. So, you know, when you see those red lines, now stay on shot and don't start pointing the camera at your shoes. Unless, of course, your show is about your shoes, then completely ignore everything I just said. So the idea is that we can now make these cameras a really nice contributing fact to a show. And iPhones are great. I use my iPhone a lot, actually. I think it's a great camera. But there are quite often times when you don't want to use an iPhone and you want to use a different camera. And for that, we use these. And this is an Atomos Shogun device. Atomos make a number of devices, the Shogun, the Ninja Ultra, I think the Shogun Ultra. And these devices are great because they've got on the back SDI, input and output, which is critical. They've got HDMI, input and output, which means we can basically connect any camera on the planet to this device. But then it's got our cloud native protocol in there, which means we can connect with Ethernet or with Wi-Fi into the cloud. And this is great because what it means is that this is now, you pop it on the top of the camera and it becomes your input device. Your whole camera is now connected to the cloud. You get also tally. There's a tally light on the back there. There's also one on the front. And there's the sockets on the side here. So you can plug in your headphones to do the talkback. And it's a really nice device. And on top of that, it's also a brilliant monitor and recorder. So when you're not live, you can be recording and doing other stuff with it. So it's a really quite useful. I've got loads of these. It's really handy. And what we can do is use all those cameras in our live show as proper contributing cameras. Now, we also have done things with the setup, because what I can do with this camera is I can pair it with my account, and now every time I turn on the show, it will be paired with my account, it will know where it is, and it will connect. So I could put this in a box, and I could send it to Catherine, she could get it out of the box, plonk it on her camera, and it would just work and come back into my show. No mucking around with IP numbers or any of that nonsense. It just comes in and just works. Really elegant solution. But Catherine, I'm sorry, I really like this and I'm not going to send it to you.
That's all right.
So Travis, if I could have my screen share back, that would be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much, sir. So those are cameras. We can also bring in other things like SRT if you like, but you don't get any of the sort of special stuff with it. Let's talk about other sources that we can use, because we can have up to 8 cameras in the show, but we can have other things as well. For example, I've got videos here. So if I click on this, it will just run a video. It's just a bumper into an unboxing thing. And videos are additional to cameras. It doesn't consume any of the camera inputs or anything like that. I can also now go and look at some other sources. So, for example, I can look at a small image player, and this is just some stripes moving across the screen, but it plays small little sequences of images, which really help if you want to do things like having multiple outputs where maybe spinning things slightly differently. And one of the things you might have noticed as I did this, I actually clicked between sets of multi-views. So you can have multiple sets of multi-views, which are really useful because you can then lay them out exactly how you want. Some people, I know if you're in the broadcast industry, you will have an unending debate about which monitor at the top there is programmed. And I can guarantee 50% of you will think I've got it the wrong way around, but that's okay. You can change it. But what it means is that you can lay this out to be the UI for your show, and whatever show you want, you can have a different UI for it, which means it's really, really sort of comfortable to sit on your show and you know where everything is. So let's just go and have a look at some of the other sources that we have. We have these things called DVE scenes, which are really powerful compositing tools. In these sort of old workflow, you might call them MEs, for example, but these are really powerful ways of compositing things. And I've done a very simple composite here, where I've just got an image on a gradient background, but I could also do something more complicated here, where I've got a gradient background going underneath it. I've got 2 cameras, and I've got a picture on top of it, and I've got graphics on top of that. So you can do some really complicated things. Cool. And one last one I'll show you, which when I click it, it's going to do an animation and then it will run a VT underneath. So as I click it, you'll see there it does an animation and then there's the VT running underneath. And all this is designed to make your show look amazing. But it's also got to sound pretty good as well. Otherwise, no one's going to watch it. So we have built in a massively comprehensive sound system. And in fact, actually, we have a 64 input, 64 output sound mixer. But again, we've not just exposed this as a massive panel. I mean, if I was going to put a sound mixer this big in here, it'd literally consume this room. It'd be ridiculous. So we've distributed it. Because the cloud can be so distributed, we've managed to pull things apart and make it much more usable. So on the actual sound front, if I go to the sound panel, I've got a load of faders. There's a load of things I can do with the faders. I'm not really going to go into that now, but we can do sort of stuff with the sound. But I also can lay out these faders in exactly the same way as I can lay out the monitors in the multi-view. So I can decide which particular faders I want where, and I can do things. But I can also remotely control some faders. So I can bring out what are called DCA groups, and I can control sets of faders, and I can bring those out to the front. So I've got two sets of faders at the front here, one which I've got all my mics on, and one which I've got my VTs on, my videos on. So I can now do a complex sound mix with just a couple of faders, which means I can now concentrate on running this basically all on my own. So we're designing this as much as possible for small crews to operate. Now, the other thing about sound is communication, because communication is basically audio, and it's deeply, deeply connected because you can't really separate them in a broadcast world. And one of the main reasons is because if you want to listen to stuff, you probably want to listen to programmed sound. That's the stuff going out to the world. Now, you can use an iPhone app, if you like, as a talkback, as well as using the phone. So yes, I can, talk to the phone, 1212, yeah, but I can also talk to an app. And with that, I can just plug in my headphones and I could be, say, the floor manager. Or I could put it in my ear and be the presenter. You might know it as an IFB. And if you're the presenter, you want to listen to things. For example, you might want to listen to the video, or you might want to listen to the person you're interviewing on the web. But you probably don't want to listen to yourself or the person sitting physically next to you. So you can now minus those sound feeds from the mix. We actually call it a mix minus because maybe we're not very intelligent with the naming, but you minus that from the mixes and you can now make up a specific sound mix that the presenter can listen to. But the presenter can do that themselves for themselves. And the same with the camera operator. If you've got a camera operator in a stadium, the last thing you want is to give them sound with the crowd in their ears because they're sitting next to the crowd. It will just be doubly loud. But they possibly want to hear the commentator so they know, what to pick up. So all that is really quite complex, and I've really given it a very light touch. Now, there's a lot more to look at if you want, but that gives you a very quick overview of everything. Now, let's talk about outputs and what we can do with it, because we can do live and as live. So just to talk about as live first, if you've ever used Final Cut or Premiere, you probably noticed the ability to bring in multi-camera clips, which means you can take a load of cameras to a gig, push record on them all, and then put them back into Premiere or something later and edit it. Great, except again, you can't direct those cameras. The way you do it in the industry, the way sort of professionals in the broadcast world do it, is what they do is they will use a live scenario. They just won't go out live. They'll just record it. We can do the same thing, but we record it. And we also, as you're cutting around on the cameras, we will record those cuts. So now we're making an edit decision list, and then we can make like a Final Cut project with it. So you can then take your recordings and reconstitute the show. Now, these things, they record ProRes. So you can take the SSD out after the show. You can record ProRes whilst you're streaming into the show, take the ProRes, put it into Final Cut later, constitute that all later, and get back your original recording. And then you can still tweak it later. So it's a really good way of doing as live. But you can also, of course, do it live. And for this, I'm going to ask Travis if he'll do his little magic trick again and zoom out so we can see the slightly larger screen. There we go. Now, currently, this is going out to Twitch. And you'll see that if I cut around, it will cut to Twitch. Now, there's a little bit of a delay because it's got to get through the bowels of Twitch, but it will get there and you can see it there on air. And a lot of people want to do this, but a whole lot of people also want to do 9:16. That's video up what I would call the wrong way. Lots of people like it. So we can do that as well. So here's a 9:16. Now you can immediately see there's a bit of a problem here. And that's because what we've done is we've just chopped out the middle. So that's not particularly very useful. What we actually want to do is take that 16:9 and repurpose it in a way that it works in vertical video. So I'm just going to show you maybe what we can do there. And I'm operating the back end, which is our routing matrix, which I'll talk about another day. But what we want to do is repurpose it and generate something that looks a bit like this. And look at that. I've now got the 16:9 image inside that frame with a nice colored background, which is absolutely terrible. I mean, that is the worst thing you can possibly do. Why would you want that? The graphics are small. I can't read it. I can't even turn the phone around to make it awful. What we actually want to do is make a completely different cut for that. And I'm just going to operate our routing matrix again. And if you want a demo of that, speak to Mo and he'll sort you out. But I'll just cut now to another output. And there we have got now a properly formatted show for 9:16 and 16:9. You'll notice the graphics, and I think Catherine can operate the, there we go, look at that, the graphics are operating, they're all working. We've got cameras that are cutting. You'll notice actually that I'm not cutting those cameras, and that's because Mo is cutting the 9:16 show. Now, I could have done it here, but it's much more interesting to show how we can collaborate. Mo is cutting the 9:16 show, and I'm cutting the 16:9 show. So Mo's got a DVE there, and I'll just show you the difference. Of course, I can now have a totally different setup DVE from him. There we go, like that. But you'll also notice that if we go back to the cameras, my camera is over on the left here. Well, when Mo's cuts and we just have to wait for Twitch to catch up, you can see that we've panned it over there, so we can now fit that frame, and you can see the different cameras now fit nicely. And you can put guides on the cameras to know where the camera operators know how to keep it right for 16:9, but also to keep it right for 9:16. And it's a really nice way now of making shows that are really specifically targeted for both 9:16 and 16:9 at the same time using the same system. So it's a really good way of doing it. A lot of people will make shows from the start doing that, but other people have done things like where they take a number of these, they bung them in a rack and just feed it from the back of an already produced show, producing the social outputs from it. So there's multiple ways you can do this, and some of them have different graphics on it, which of course is very easy here, and all that. So it's a really nice way of skinning one show multiple different ways. So that's about it. Let me just sort of wrap up by talking about cost and how much this sort of it costs to run it. Well, we use a system called credits, where we have one credit that can cost basically as little as $1. So we also then have a myriad of different show types which you can pick. So you can pick and choose the right kind of thing for you. And they range from 60 credits an hour all the way down to just 3 credits an hour, depending on what you want to do. And we have 3 types of show. There's a social show, a pro show, and a broadcast show. And they start with different sizes of things. So the social show doesn't have as many VTs or as many DVEs. The pro show's got a bit more, and the broadcast has got a bit more. And then you can select the number of cameras you've got. So you can have 2 cameras, 4 cameras, or on the bigger shows, you can have 8 cameras. And you can then just pick and choose what you want to spend your credits on. There's no need to spin up any shows, or you can spin up as many as you like. There's no need to be constrained by anything. If you want to spin up a 10 credit show today, that's fine. If you want to spin up 23 credit shows tomorrow, that's fine. If you want to spin none up the next day, that's absolutely fine as well. Because it's the cloud, you just use what you're going to use, and you can just apportion that to whatever you're doing. So the final thing is to say that if you want to have a go, we're doing, because of our partnership here with our lovely friends at Singular, we're going to do a nice 1 month free, plus an onboarding session with Mo. So you get to speak to Mo in real life. Well, not real life, he'll still be on there probably. You get to speak to Mo. He will help you, he'll set it up, he'll guide you through the stuff, answer all your questions. And we're going to do that just basically to the end of the holiday season, to the end of 2023. But we only have a limited number of slots. So we're leaving it on for that amount of time, because people are probably going to watch this on VOD, on VOD. But there's only a limited number of slots. So get in there quick and book a slot with Mo. There'll be a link in the description somewhere, and you'll be able to book that slot and then have your demo session. And I hope to see a lot of interesting shows from you guys. But that's it from me. Back to you guys.
Awesome.
Very cool. I had first of all, we salute Phil's passion for cloud production. I don't think there's anybody more animated about it, except for maybe me at times. But I will say that I get
nice
a chance to see. I saw the whole demo that they're showing at IBC. I actually went back for a second time because I was so impressed. And I would say the biggest takeaway for me was the first comment that Phil made, which is the user interface, really elegant. There's no confusion. I mean, none. And we have a lot of partners that have competing offerings, and they have their strengths and weaknesses. I have to say, your guys' offering from top to bottom really, I always look for weaknesses. I'm like, whoa, okay, where is these guys going to break? Where is it not going to work? And to be honest with you, rock solid. I mean, really, really worked great. It was working great at IBC, even with their limited, challenging internet services. I will leave it at that.
Yes, it's very, very difficult for IBC to get any network at all, isn't it?
Oh boy, is it fun! But you guys had a very impressive setup. The booth was absolutely hopping. There were people all over the booth at all aspects and from all angles, and duly impressed with all the options. The delay, I will speak just one more point on the delay. I don't know technically what your delay is, but it's pretty impressive to see what we're doing here. And when you're flipping, when Moe is showing his display, I mean, it is minuscule. I'll leave it at that. I won't get in milliseconds exactly your technical specs on your protocols. It's not really necessary, but it is blazingly fast, extremely reliable. And if you can run the kinds of demos that you were doing at IBC in that hostile environment with nasty internet, which you did and proved to me several times, and my colleagues were there, absolutely amazing. Really, really nice stuff. Very well received, and I really appreciate you guys coming on and showing the offering. And like Phil said, anybody who watches this on VOD or even are watching it now, please sign up and take the guys' offer on signing up, getting a demo with Moe, and have a go at it, because it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I know my daughter was super impressed when I told her all about it. She went on the website. Oh my gosh, I want this. I want it for Christmas, and I want it now. That's what she said. I was like, okay. So
that's very kind.
It's nothing without the graphics, because that's what everybody wants it for. So I think it's great just being able to see this. I mean, I really like these graphics, and they really nicely with the show. So thanks so much for doing that. That's worked really nicely.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
it. And our users who are a little bit more advanced, or maybe not, know that in Singular, as Phil was showing, your 16:9, 9:16 aspect ratio challenges, you can author in Singular in one composition at multiple aspect ratios. Which makes it really, really nice to keep everything in one composition and then be able to send out 16:9, 9:16 square, or on the side of a building if you want. We have some customers that
whatever you want.
Singular outputs on really odd ribbon boards and stadiums and all kinds of stuff. So that it's really neat to see how flexible and easy it is to use your offering with different aspect ratios, because I'm not a huge user of 9:16, but I'm a 16:9 person. I just sort of like the term, but 9:16 is super popular. So being able to get those graphics formatted correctly, being able to see them, because when you get 9:16 on a smaller device, it's kind of tricky. So you might want to bring the graphic size up and make it work, or not have certain aspect ratios might not have certain graphics, which in our offering you can do that. You can have adaptive graphics for different aspect ratios. So enough about that. Thanks, guys. I don't know, Travis, if there's any questions in the background in the chat, but it's I really enjoyed it. I'm sure we'll do another one with you guys for sure.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, nothing live, and no questions coming in live. I'm sure there will be plenty comments afterwards. I don't have any questions. I think you guys did a great job showing, all the different aspects of your platform, but also showing the different aspect ratios in real time on Twitch is very cool to see. That's not something that we see frequently with our partner platforms. So cool. It's been awesome.
I wanted to do it on Instagram, but I need more than 1,000 followers, and I don't really use it, so I couldn't do it.
Okay, that's fair. We can imagine it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right,
guys. Well, I'll wrap this one up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to everybody out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back in 2024 with some new great stuff. And I'm sure we'll have the guys on a future live stream to show real productions, maybe one of the productions of someone out there that's watching this video, and we look forward to it. So thanks again. Take care.